Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Social Saturdays Coffee and Chats. My name is Lindsay Giese, and I'm the Executive Director for River Arts, Inc. And today we have a very special guest, the one and only Tywana German.
Well, good morning, Lindsay. Yeah, cheers to you. How's it going?
It's going. Trying to adjust to this new routine. I'm sure you're feeling the same way.
Yes, I refuse to refer to it as our new world because I believe great things are right around the corner and we're going to be back together soon. So, so this interim break from the world as we know it is challenging, especially if you're an extrovert. Like, I need people to feed me.
I was going to say, when I think about people in this community, I think you might be the most extroverted. You and Tracy Thompson might be the most extroverted people I know. So I feel for you. If people don't know, which you should, but Tywana is the executive director of the Sauk Prairie Chamber. And I thought we could if you could give us a little bit of background from before you moved to Sauk Prairie, what you did. I know you worked for United Way, but tell us about you, Tywana.
Sure. Do you want me to go way back to Alabama? So I was born and raised in Alabama, lived there till I was about 23, and then moved to Florida for a brief stint for a year, and then to the Hampton Roads area of Virginia in Chesapeake, and lived there for about 15 years. And I was in human service there, working with United Way. And so did a lot of assessments of clients who needed assistance, but my main job was kind of to work at the county level and all the agencies. And so I did a lot of audits on the agencies and working with them to produce programs and outcomes. And then got the news that I could move to either Wisconsin or Miami. And I had young kids at the time. And so I said, well, I don't really think we should go to Miami with young kids, but Wisconsin, that's like, Fargo. Like I remember that old show where people are freezing to death. And so I said, oh, what the heck, let's do it. So here we are, 11 years later, and loving it. Yeah, I couldn't imagine going back to the East Coast and traffic.
Do your kids know that they had the option of growing up in Miami or Wisconsin?
Yes, they do. Elizabeth really was rooting for the beaches of Miami. And Ben, on the other hand, he's an outdoorsman at heart, cannot stand being inside. So he was rooting for Wisconsin all the way. Elizabeth cried. This is a true story. Aww. Rode with me on the way out here, cried from Chesapeake, Virginia to Chicago, Illinois, off and on, telling me I was the worst mother ever for making her move. And now here she is, true blue Wisconsin.
Now she probably is glad, right? She loves it here.
Yes. She was in 5th grade. That's a hard time.
So I think a lot of people, they know you as the chamber director, but I don't know that they know you. You did a little stint as the executive director for River Arts, Inc. when you first moved here.
Yes, I did. Carolyn and Brett Kerner, they thought that my experience as running a nonprofit made me well suited. And I said, I couldn't agree more. And quickly, when I sat in your seat, I realized you have to have a love and a passion for the arts. It's not enough just to know how to run a nonprofit and work with volunteers. And so I hated it because I had never in my life quit a job without having a reason to quit a job, like to move on. And I knew the former director, and she told me that she was not going to be working here. And I started thinking this is an opportunity for me to do something a little bit closer, working with municipalities and stuff. And so I resigned my position. But River Arts is so much better off with you there. And even Ani, that came, I think, after me. I just watch you all perform and I'm amazed because you love it. It's in you and everything you do is just wonderful. So yes, but it was a fun time.
You kind of answered this already. But one of my questions was going to be, what do you think was the hardest part about this job?
Um, I think trying to understand people and what would engage them and motivate them to come to live performances, gallery shows. Do you remember me saying I'm from Alabama? My type of art is probably very different than yours, Lindsay. I remember one of the first performances I booked and was so excited about was buckets and tap shoes. And they were beating on buckets and tapping, and we sold the place out. But when I went and looked at the audience, I was like, I have the artistic mentality of a 10-year-old because that's what's in the audience. Um, and I think the kids enjoyed it, but it's not something that's going to go time after time. Another funny story I like to tell people, Tom Sullivan can verify this. One time we had a quartet come in, and they really weren't talkers. They sat in their own corner, and they had sent me the layout of their show, but I couldn't read it because it was all in Italian. And so I thought there was no intermission. And so when they walked off the stage, I thanked everyone for coming and I hope you'll join us. And Tom Sullivan was doing this and going, no, it's just intermission. And I go, well, looks like we're just taking a break.
Mhm.
Like that's when I knew it was time for me to go back to Alabama or find a new job. The arts were not for me.
I don't know about that, but I do love that story. Also, I think you referred to it as their list or something. Um,
What's that called?
some might call it a program or
Oh, yeah,
repertoire.
yeah, their repertoire.
But
Yeah,
I liked how you worded it. So
yeah, I can't even say that word, Lindsay.
even after you left River Arts, though, you still made a big impact because you started the Second Saturday program through the chamber. And
Yes.
that's really how our downtown gallery got its start. Can you talk a little bit about what that program was?
Oh, sure. I remember when I first came to the Sauk Prairie community, there were so many vacant storefronts on Water Street. Some might say a ghost town, and then some of those that were there, they didn't make the best first impression. And one of the things since I've got an audience here, I'm going to apologize for being so forthright. But I believe when you are born and raised somewhere, sometimes you become blind to things that exist around you, and people who aren't from the area come in and they go, whoa, that should be changed, or that doesn't look good. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but I think we all can use fresh sets of eyes on us. I love for people to challenge me or encourage me. So with this particular project, I said, what could we do to make it appear that we are in a ghost town with these vacant spaces? And so a lot of your artists actually worked with me. You have fabulous volunteers at the gallery and your performances. And so some of those folks said, why don't we take our art community, have them do displays for the windows? We can still have very consistent for sale, for rent signs, but that's not the first thing that you see, a dark window. And so I remember the first building, a couple of your artists from the Merrimack community pulled together a list of, there were 35 artists in that space. And they shared the space, and all of a sudden, overnight, the windows were lit and beautiful art and displays. And it just really caught on from there. And then we looked at our in-home businesses. How could they get exposure about what they do or the products they sell? So some of them joined us. And then Tracy Rauner, I think, was the one who came up with, let's start opening these businesses up on the second Saturday. And so from there, it just really kind of grew. But it started with an artist's vision and me saying, what can we do about these horrible vacant storefronts? And the two ideas merged, and there you go.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for doing that because it really was the impetus to get River Arts on Water open, which then led to our studio opening up in 2017. And now the latest news with the referendum passing is that we'll have another addition onto the River Arts Center. So look at what you accomplished.
I know you're really going to be busy.
It's gonna
Hey, let me know if you need some help programming that new space.
Hey, you know what? You don't give yourself enough credit, because I know for the last several years you've been programming the bands at Cowchip, and you're doing a fantastic job.
Well, thank you. That is, it's fun. And, you know, I don't think the average person, I certainly didn't know the amount of time that goes into booking bands and just the communication back and forth and getting the contracts settled. Yep. It is like pulling teeth sometime, and you have to be on top of your game to remember it and get the checks out. And so, yeah, that's a role that I volunteered to do when the prior person said they couldn't volunteer anymore. And I said, well, I can do that for you. But it's a lot of fun, and trying to get a mix of performers and what the community will want to listen to, what others are willing to drive to the community. So I'm excited about this year's lineup.
Oh, good. Me too.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Oh, this is a good one. So
yes.
You were recently made even more famous with the recent Stock Prairie lip sync video that came out. And I have a couple questions for you regarding that. That's the pose.
That's the pose. Yes.
How much fun did your husband Les have filming that?
I'm going to tell you what, someone should have recorded us on that Sunday morning. Here was the thing. I had to do a show with River Hills Church about COVID. And so I got up bright and early, went and filmed that with them. And then when I came home, I went up to change, and I remembered we needed to get you this video. And so I ran to Elizabeth's closet, got the hat, because I thought that was a cute hat, and a sweater. And I said, Les, come on outside. And so we go outside, and just as we get out there, the wind starts blowing and it's misting. And he says, you got one take. And I go, I'll never get this in one take. No, one take, that's it. And so our neighbors probably thought we were nuts, because you have film that didn't make it to the cut. But I was twirling on, we have a basketball court. I was twirling. Next thing you know, I'm falling down on the concrete. I'm so dizzy. It was a riot. And Les had a great time. And he was willing to do, I think, I don't know, it had to be like 12, 13 takes of me.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
Different backgrounds. And my favorite, so the audience didn't get to hear, like I can hear Les laughing, or I can hear you talking. Like in all of the videos, I can hear all this background noise.
Yes.
It's always laughter. But I obviously edited that out for the lip syncing. But I wish that there was a way for me to put together just clips of all of that, like other footage. But I also,
like seriously, when I sent it to you and you said, you've got to send it back, I forget what part, but it was this note we had to hold for the log. And so I thought it would be so great for Les to like lay down on the court looking up, and I'm standing under that tree. And I mean, I gave it all I had. I mean, that was my moment to shine as a singer. And Les goes, you really think you sound good? Because I mean, I was belting it out there. And I said, that's not the point, Les. It's, do I look good? But it was fun. That was very creative. I must say your programming during this COVID, very creative, Lindsay, and give you kudos.
Well, I think
because
laugh and
yes,
these moments together. So.
But even like Christina, all the things she's doing with quick projects you can do at home with the kids. It's very good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good to hear. With that lip sync video, I am surprised at how trusting everybody was to give me that kind of footage, because it's kind of blackmail. Like
for sure.
There's some good
for
stuff
sure it is
out there.
Yes. But I trust you, Lindsay. I'm sure. Listen, here's the thing that I know about you. You will need me again to help you. Yeah. So should any of that come to light,
you know, risk it.
Yes.
Risk it.
So, But it's fine. I mean, life is just a journey where you're supposed to laugh at yourself and not take things seriously. Um, so whatever, let
in,
it be.
in that spirit, and I know that you and I both put ourselves on the line, and we're vulnerable. We'll talk about personal things. You cry at pretty much every Get Moving software.
Yes, I know, right? Yes.
So I'm going to share this little story. So you have taken an interest in my dating life, and which I appreciate that you're looking out for me. But one thing you asked was, okay, well, Lindsay, are you on any online dating apps, or what are your hobbies? What do you do in your free time besides all this art stuff? And so I was thinking about it, and I'm like, well, pretty much it's the arts, but I do like to put puzzles together. And you told me you can never tell any guy that your hobby is putting puzzles together.
Correct.
But I just want to say right now, there is a puzzle shortage because that is what everybody is doing. I was making puzzles before it was trendy during a quarantine.
Oh my
So
God.
this is leading me to a question, I promise. My question is, what new hobbies do you have now in quarantine, or as we're all home? Are you making puzzles now, even though you made fun of me for it?
No, never.
No.
Okay, so this is really embarrassing, but right before this COVID hit, I had joined SP Fitness, and I was meeting a few ladies at 5:30 in the morning.
Yes.
And so I am extremely competitive. And so I thought to myself, on probably day 2 or 3, God, who gets up this early to go to a gym? But I wouldn't have cared. I was going because those ladies were never going to say I didn't show up. So then COVID hits just as I'm in my routine. So now we have kind of become workout junkies at our house. Every night at 8 o'clock, we have a push up and sit up challenge.
Great.
And last night, because of the weather, Les didn't get his steps in. He was 2,000 short. So then we're all running around the house, and we're running up and down the stairs and doing squats. And so I guess you could say I'm a workout queen now. No, just kidding. But really, that's it, because there's nothing to do. We watch a lot of Netflix. I've enjoyed being a teacher to Ben. I'm sure he would say he's enjoyed it as well. But I love making analogies and making like learning real. And so taking things that he doesn't need and then giving examples from his life and applying those. So I don't know. I just like the creativity of what's thrown at me, and then I just kind of wing it and make my day from there.
That's a great attitude.
Yeah. But I mean, if you had a puzzle that you feel like is too challenging for me, I would do it just to prove you wrong if you wanted to share one.
I believe it.
Otherwise,
Not gonna
just, Lindsay, don't tell people you do that in your spare time.
I'm not embarrassed. You know what? You have to be true to who you are, right?
Excuse me. That is true. And that is what I love about you, Lindsay. You are very true. And you're not afraid to say how you feel about something, which I think is a fantastic quality. And that's why we're probably good friends. There's nobody better to drink wine or coffee with.
I love it. So sweet.
Yes. Yes.
What gives you hope these days? We're going a little more serious.
What gives me hope? I think that anytime we are challenged by something, whether it's personally or professionally, that regardless of how afraid we are at the moment, that we're forced to kind of look internally or start to prioritize. If this doesn't get back to normal or this doesn't happen, how can I work around this? And so I think for a lot of people, this virtual world has been coming forever. Okay. I hate technology. And I knew for years I should be doing virtual meetings or trainings if people couldn't come to stuff. This has forced me to have to embrace it and learn from it. And I think for a lot of our small business owners who knew online stores were important and all these different ways to connect with their customers, this has forced them to get there. So it gives me hope in the comfort that people are going to find within themselves, the confidence to do new things because they were kind of forced to. Um, but my real hope in all of this is that we continue to do push up and plank challenges. We continue to do puzzles with our family.
Yep.
We continue to do funny lip sync challenges. Because I think in all this, what I'm loving is passing people on the sidewalks who are out walking as families. The sidewalk talk message campaigns, the hearts and windows.
Yep.
I think sometimes you got to have something drastic to remind you what is important, and it's people. And, my husband keeps going, he travels, so he gets to get away from me for 5 days out of the week. He goes, I mean, I just got to get back to traveling. I mean, I can't do business like this. And I said, sure you can. You've been doing it 6 weeks. He goes, no, you need to be in front of people. And I kind of smiled as he said that because I thought it's true. Even though you and I can have fun this way, it's not the same as being together.
Yep.
And so I know we won't lose that. I just hope we won't go back to the craziness where we forget to make time for those things. So
I love
that's
that.
my hope.
I kind of along those lines, the amount of, I guess, caring for our neighbors, like caring for each other. It is nice to see that. I know you have a small business relief program through, it's a county, but each chamber is doing
Yeah.
their part. And from the messages that I've seen the chamber put out, it sounds like there have been a lot of businesses giving to that program to support. So businesses who are doing okay right now are supporting those who are struggling, just so we all can get through this. Because getting through this with some businesses not with us, let's say a year from now, if my business gets through this but my neighbor doesn't, are we
Right.
getting through it? It's
Yeah.
not going to be the same community if we lose some of those wonderful restaurants or small shops or.
Yeah. And actually the reality of what we're looking at, my call earlier today said that some studies are showing that 50 to 75% of small businesses impacted will not return. They won't make it through this. I have hope for us that we'll be able to come together. Speaking of that fund and people having the ability to donate, I literally got the mail yesterday, and as I started opening it, I literally started crying because I was so impressed with individuals' generosity, businesses' generosity, and businesses that are impacted with notes like, while we're touched by this, we aren't devastated by this. And I know some of my neighbors are or could be. And I was floored. I mean, in one day, I opened $7,500 worth of checks from people who just want to help their neighbor. And so, if anyone's watching, thank you for what you're doing, whether it's just sending a good note to your neighbor or dropping off supplies for an elderly or making a donation to one of these many different funds. Um, we are Sauk Prairie Strong. There's no doubt about it. It happens whether it's this referendum that just passed, and thanks everyone for that. It's really going to set us apart. Or it's, the little barbecue fundraisers for a T-ball team. It does, or Lindsay, as we know, raising money for a trail. And boy, aren't we glad we did that, seeing the use that it's getting now. It just never stops here, but in this time and in something that I know so many are bleeding right now, just financially, it just really touched my heart. So thanks for bringing that up.
Is there anything else that the chamber is working on that you want to share? Or if someone goes to the chamber's website, will they be able to find some good resources?
Yes. Right now, actually, if you go to saltprairie.com, it's kind of a hot mess. That's a term we use in Alabama. There's all these logos at the top, and someone that's OCD, it's really stressing me out, but you can't miss the information. So if you want to know what businesses are open or closed or impacted, there's a listing for that. If you want to know resources to help get potential funding streams coming your way, whether it's from Small Business Administration or the PPP program, that's under resources. We have this wonderful t-shirt campaign. I don't know if you've seen it, the Salt Prairie Strong, and it pays respect to our first responders and our businesses who are doing everything they can to think out of the box and exist still. Um, and so you can actually purchase that t-shirt online for $15, but then 5 of that 15 you get to designate which small business or business in the community you would like to donate that to. And then we'll be writing checks to those businesses just to kind of generate some more cash flow. But speaking of t-shirts, there's also 3 places in town where if you're lucky enough, you may have been given a t-shirt along with $5 in chamber bucks. And so we thought that was a way just to kind of connect with individuals that may be stressed during this time or hurting financially, to give them $5 to go get a sundae, or if they can find some. I need some or not hand sanitizer, bleach wipes.
Everybody needs that, but
Yeah, you still can't find that. But whatever, they could use it wherever they want to help, generate support. So then if you are a teacher, not by training, but because you're forced to be these days, there are school resources on different curriculums that you could do with your kid. And that's a lot modified from things we currently do here at the Welcome Center that we've just put in online models. So lots of resources there. So definitely check that out.
great. Well, thank you
Yep.
so much for having a quick little coffee chat with me today.
Well, thank you, and keep doing great work at River Arts. I look forward to the expansion of River Arts Center and watching how you use that. So thanks so much. Stay well during this time.
Thank you. Same to you. Have a good
Yes,
week.
have a good one. Thank you.